everyone. So I just wanted to show you using embroidery software so that you can get a visual for those of you that are using a 5x7 hoop. This is what it'll look like to do your double hoopings to get your quilting. So our final cut size of fabric shelves is 6.5 by 10.5. So that means that we want our quilting design to be 6 by 10. So those of you that have a 5x7 hoop as your largest hoop, then we just need a double hoop. It's not a difficult thing to do. You can do it using embroidery software, or you can do it using the buttons on your machine. And I will probably try and show you both ways. But let's start with embroidery software just to give you a visual. So I am using Sew It Pro. I think it's about $60 or something. I bought it years ago from S&S Computing online, and they have a free trial. So you can use Embrilliance or other embroidery software. I'm sure that the technique is the same or close to it. But like I said, this is just to give you a visual of how to do it. So most of the time I'm going to be looking up, just so you know, because my camera is here, but my monitor's up there. So I will be looking up, but I am going to share my screen so that you can see what I'm doing. And again, using Sew It Pro in Kimberbell's Halloween 3 horizontal 6 by 10, but we're going to do it vertical so that you can get the horizontal look, and I'll explain that. So let me just go ahead and share my screen here. Okay, so here we are. We've got Sew It Pro opened up, and I'm just going, you can see up here, it says Sew It Pro in the corner up here, or up at the title bar, and I'm going to go to File, Open, and I'm going to find my Kimberbell quilting design. It's Halloween 3, and we want it horizontal, but we're going to do it in vertical so that you can get the length, and I'm just going to show you that here. So Halloween 3 in vertical, let's do a 4x6. I've already been playing around with it a little bit to give you an idea of what you're going to need. So 4x6, sorry, that's 4x4, 4x6 vertical, that's horizontal. All right, and then open. All right, so it automatically opens to a 5x7 hoop, but I'm going to change the hoop larger, even though you don't have a large hoop, just to give you a visual of what the plan is. So up here, there's this little button that looks like a hoop. Click on that and you have all kinds of options of hoop sizes. So I'm going to go ahead and just do, let's do this basically 8x12. You can do 7x12, it doesn't matter. If you hit the shift button on your keyboard, you can make your hoop showing larger or bigger, like zoom in and zoom out. So I'm going to take this first one and I'm just going to move it up here. Keep it centered. All right, so you can see that we have our 5 steps of Kimberbell. As always, the first one is the placement stitch that we do on our batting, and that is the placement stitch for, I'm sorry, that we do on the stabilizer. Sorry about that. Number 1, you stitch it directly on your stabilizer, and it is the placement stitch for our batting. And then number 2 is the tack down stitch of our batting. And number 3 is the placement stitch for our main fabric. Number 4 is the tack down stitch or basting stitch of the main fabric. And then number 5, you can see, is the actual quilting design. So that all stays the same. So here's my recommendation. If you're using embroidery software and you're going to merge multiple quilting designs, I find it easier if you take out steps 3 and 4. And I've talked a little bit about the fact that if you have an 8x12 hoop and you are going to do an 8x12 quilting design, it won't fit in your hoop. Same with, say you're going to do a 6x10 quilting design, it won't fit in a 6-inch hoop. So the reason is because the steps 3 and 4. So here, let me show you. So the overall design right up here, you see it says 4.5 by 6.5. And if you click on that first one, it's 4x6, which is what the quilting design is called. Remember? So here it is up in the corner, 4x6. So number 1 and number 2 are actually 4x6, but number 3 and number 4, you can see it changes to 4.5 by 6.5. And the reason for that is because of that seam allowance. All right. So it makes it so that it won't actually fit in a 6x10 hoop or in a 8x12 hoop if you're using the 8x12 quilting design I think it's actually 8 by 10. It won't fit in an 8-inch hoop. A 6-inch design won't fit in a 6-inch hoop. So all you have to do is take out steps 3 and 4, which is, like I said, the placement and the tack down of the main fabric. So after you, so visualize how we do that. So if you have your batting down and it's already tacked down, and then you're going to put down your placement stitch for your main fabric, you don't actually need that placement stitch. You can see the batting right there. So you can put your main fabric right on top of the batting, feel around to make sure that it's even, because you want it evenly dispersed on that hoop. And then tape it in place instead of tacking it down with a stitch. So both 3 and 4 are a nice to have, but they are not required. They're not something you absolutely have to have. It's actually very simple to just visualize where to put your main fabric on your hoop and tape it in place if you need to tape it in place. Really, the batting's going to hold it down pretty good too, but taping in place helps not worry about it moving. So a basting stitch is a nice to have, you know, use it when you can use it, but if it's going to make it so that it doesn't fit in your hoop, there's a way around it. Very simple. All right, so to take out those steps, so I'm going to have you, even though it fits in this hoop, so if we're using a 5 by 7 hoop, it will fit in your hoop because this is 4.5 by 6.5. So I'm getting this error message on this quilting design. I think I need to re-download it or something, but anyway, 4.5 by 6.5 will fit in your 5 by 7 hoop. But if you're using embroidery software and you're going to merge in all of the files so that you can see it, which you don't need to do. If you're using a 5 by 7 hoop, you don't need to merge them in because you're going to do it on your machine. But just to give you a visual, and for the people that, like, if we were doing a larger design in a smaller hoop. So to take it out, you just click on that one. It's number 3 and number 4, and then right click on it. And you can see it gives you this option to delete thread. So delete, done. And then this is number 4 became number 3, right click, delete thread. So now we have the placement for the batting, which is on your stabilizer. And then number 2 is the tack down of the batting. And number 3 is the quilting design. And the reason I took it out is so that then when you merge in others, so let's merge in another one of those. So file, merge, and we're going to do another 4 by 6, and that was the vertical. All right. So then you just click on it and move it to where you want it. Right now, I'm just going to move it out of the way. So if you did not take out those steps, what you would see is all this overlap. And you don't want overlap on your main fabric. So it's easier to visualize it. It's easier to not have to take out those basting stitches because they're going to overlap, and that's going to make them even harder to get out, which actually basting stitches are very easy to take out, but not when they're overlapping. All right, so on this one, so I'm going to go ahead and take out those 2 steps again. So now they're number 6 and 7 because this is all of one step and this is all of another, right? 2 different quilting designs. So on this, it's always right before the quilting design. Quilting design is in green. You can see it here. That's the quilting design. So this is that tack down of the main fabric. So I'm going to go ahead and right click, delete thread, and then right click, delete thread, the one before that, which is the placement. So now I have just the batting and the quilt design. And what I can do, since I've taken out those 2 steps, is I can easily move it to line it up, because what I'd like to do is have it right on that other one. All right, let me click somewhere else so you can see. So see, now we just have that one line, and that line isn't going to show up. It's going to be on your stabilizer, so it doesn't matter. But what it does is it shows you the right amount to be around. So we've lined it up both horizontally and vertically so that it fits really well. So let's do one more, because right now we are at 6 by 8 and we want 6 by 10. So we're going to add in, again, sorry for this error message. I don't know why it's doing that. File, merge. And we're going to add in a 2 by 6 now, and still in vertical. All right, and it always goes to the center, but you just easily click on it and move it away. And then again, I'm going to take out those steps. So it's always the one right before the quilting. Green is the quilting. It's like a teal color. And that's the quilting. So it's always the one right before that, because that's where our basting stitch is. So delete and delete. And then we can take this and move it right up. Close. All right. So see, now we have all 3 hoopings, because we're going to need 3 hoopings if we're using a 5x7 hoop and we want 6x10. So all 3 hoopings. And then what you can do is you can either grab it all this way or you can clip it all, it doesn't matter, and then center it. Notice that I grabbed all of them, because if you just move one, then they're going to not be aligned again. So go ahead and get it centered. All right, and now that is pretty much done. That's a visual of what you're going to do on the machine to get your 6x10. But another thing that you can do if you decide to use embroidery software to move it over, and this again wouldn't work if you have a 5x7 hoop, because you have to do each of those sections. But I'm just showing you for those that need to be able to merge designs, just a quick little tutorial on embroidery software. So here it's going to do each of these items separately. So one other thing that you can do is you can move these around. So it's easy to do, just you have to kind of pay attention, and the colors really help. So the blue is the placement, the green is the tack, or not green, sorry, yellow is the tack down, and then green is always your quilting design. So you could easily just take these and move them. So you just click, I think it's shift, yeah, shift, and then move it up. So all the blues together, and then all the yellows together. And all I'm doing is I'm hitting the shift key on my keyboard and using my mouse and bringing them up, and see now they're all together. And then you can go to here up at the top, edit, join threads, and join all adjacent threads of the same color. Click OK, and look, so right now we have 9 steps. When I click OK, we have 3 steps. So it is going to do all of the placement for the batting, and then all of the tack down for the batting, and then all of the quilting designs together. And we lined it up so perfectly that was super easy. All right, so that one is done. Now, if you were gonna save this, you would make sure to do a save as, always a save as. If you just do a save, then what it's going to do is it's going to save over what you the first thing that you opened. So that first 4x6 vertical design would now become this big 6x10. So you always want to do a save as. So it's really easy to do, file, save as, and then name it. Keep it in that same folder, and see up here, you can see the size that we have. So we have 6x10 here. All right, so this is just to give you a visual of what it's going to look like. So you're going to use, when you're using a 5x7 hoop, you're going to bring the one design, the 4x6, and then the 4x6 again, and then the 2x6, and do each of those. And I'll show you how to do that on the machine. It's really easy. You just use those buttons to move the design up, to be able to line it up like how we just did. And we're going to use the same lines, the placement lines, as our guide of where to move it. So, but on the embroidery software, it just gives you a really quick and easy visual of what it's going to look like and how to do it on embroidery software. Again, you would have to have a larger hoop, obviously, to be able to move these over. But there are times that you're going to want to merge designs. So another reason that you would want to merge designs is, say that you're going to bring in your fabric shelf. So you could, if you have the larger hoop, then you wouldn't have to be vertical, and you could have it horizontal, and then file, merge, and then find your fabric shelves design and bring that right on top. So if you're one of the people that has the large hoop and you're going to even just use the 6x10 quilting design, you could merge that on. So think about like the older quilting designs. We had to do it on Boardwalk, we had to do it on Boulevard. There's a few of the older designs that you had to actually bring the design down to the bottom. And there's a way to do it on the machine, easy, and Kimberbell gave lots of information on how to do that. But another option is use embroidery software. You can see it, bring it down, save it, bring it over to your machine, and you're done. So embroidery software is just another way of doing it. It's totally up to you. And like I said, for those that are using a 5x7 hoop, I will show you on the machine how to move the design so that you can line up, because you're going to need 3 hoopings of this quilting design to be able to fit for a 6x10 design in a 5x7 hoop. So I hope that makes sense. I'm just giving you some information on how a few things that you need to be able to do. Like I was saying, for some that have an 8x12 hoop and you want to do an 8x10 quilting design, not on this one, but on a future one, it won't fit in your 8x12 hoop. Bring it to software, take out steps 3 and 4, done. Easy. My machine, you can't take steps out on the machine, or at least I haven't found a way to. So I need embroidery software to be able to take those steps out. There is a machine that will let you bypass them. I heard from someone else that had this issue. I think it was a Bernina, but I'm not totally sure. It did let you bypass the steps 3 and 4. And whereas mine, as soon as you put a hoop in, it says, oh, no, I can't do it. It's too small. Find a bigger hoop. But there are some machines that will let you do that. So that's all the information for now. That's for how to take out steps 3 and 4 to fit within a hoop, and a visual of what it will look like to merge designs together or double hoop designs together. So I hope this helps. Okay, 5x7 folks. So I am using a piece of felt. You're going to be using the regular fabric for the fabric shelves. It's the white with the orange dots, but I'm just going to use a piece of felt. So you want to start by centering, marking the center. I'm using a water-soluble pen. You could use an ironing board and you know, iron the seam, whatever works. But find your center of your main fabric. Make sure that you have your stabilizer. Since you're doing 3 hoopings, you're going to want 3 pieces. So it's a 2x6, so that means 3x7 for that one. And then the 4x6s, you'll want 5x7. So 3 pieces, 2 that are 5x7 and 1 that is 3x7. And let's go ahead and get started. So one thing is, I realized that if you do the 2x6 in the middle of the project, because you need 3 hoopings and one of them is 2x6 and 2 of them are 4x6, if you do the 2x6 in the center, then 1 4x6 on the top, 1 4x6 on the bottom, that makes it really simple. Everything will be centered really well. So I'll show you. Here we go. Okay, so now we're at the basting stitch of our main fabric, and what you're going to want to do is center your main fabric. You can see, all right, so we're using that center guide, but our needle isn't going to be over that, so it makes it a little bit harder. But what I do is I just feel like put a couple of fingers here, a couple of fingers here to make sure that it's even. It's really important that it's even. So you just want to feel that batting underneath and make sure that it's centered. So you can see underneath your batting and your placement line, and you can feel where that batting is. And so you just want to absolutely do your very best to center this center guide over the middle of the batting. All right, important and yet not the super easiest thing to do, but it'll be easier on the next 2 hoopings. The other thing is you can do the basting stitch, which will hold down your fabric, but then you'll have to take it out after each hooping, which is not a problem at all. I'm gonna just bypass it. It's easy for me to do that. But like I said, you can absolutely keep it on, but to bypass it, if you choose to bypass it, you would just, for my machine, I go to this button here and then go down to the next button, which will then show the quilting. So that's an easy way to bypass it so you don't have to take out, because you'll have basting stitches in the middle here and then around each of the other 2 as well. And that's totally fine. They'll iron right out. There won't be like little holes in your fabric, but it will be right in the center of your fabric. So for me, it's just easier to take it out. So since I bypassed the basting stitch, now I'm on the quilting design, and like I said, it's right in the middle of my fabric. I'm starting right from the middle because we have 1 2x6 in the middle and then a 4x6 up at the top and a 4x6 at the bottom. So just right from the center is the easiest way to do it. Okay, so the first step is done, the first quilting block. We're gonna do 2 more, but you can see this is right in the center, so it's perfect so far. All right, and then we're gonna go ahead and start on the next one. So we're gonna unhoop this and get ready for the second hooping. All right, so tear away the excess stabilizer or cutaway if you used cutaway. Like I said, I'm using felt as my fabric just because this is just a test to be able to show you how to do it. You can see my center mark here that comes out with water. So this one is the first hooping and we've got 2 more to do. All right, this will show you how very easy this is. So we have our placement and stitch for our main fabric. We've got our batting from the earlier step. And then we've got our fabric that we already have the 1 hooping done. So you're gonna fold that back so that you can see the batting from the first hooping. Remember the first hooping that we did? So we're gonna have the batting. Make sure that you're doing the right orientation so that the witch is going the same way as it's going to go on this one. You can see it here. All right, so you're going to fold back that fabric. Sorry, I'm doing this one-handed. And you're gonna line up that batting. So see the batting here? See there, that's your batting, and you're gonna line it up with the new batting. Very, very simply, so easy. Not super easy one-handed, but you could take it off of the machine and bring it over to a table, line those edges up like this, and then tape it down after you've got your batting down, which I can't do one-handed. I can't seem to do one-handed. So you're going to pull back that fabric once you have it all lined up. I'm gonna check mine before I start just to make sure, but very simply lining up that batting with the first batting hooping with the second batting hooping. All right, so once you've got it all lined up, pull back your fabric, tape it in place, and you're gonna run the quilting for the next step. Now again, it's gonna do a basting stitch, and you can certainly do the basting stitch. I'm gonna bypass it for this tutorial, but you can definitely do that basting stitch. It'll just go around the outside here, but it will also go here. And so it's up to you if you want it to go on your already hooping, which it could go over this part of the quilting. Personally, I would bypass it, but that's totally up to you. And we're all ready for the second hooping. So this this is the one in the middle. This is going to be the top because of the orientation of the witch. So the top, the middle, and the bottom, the last hooping. Okay, so the second hooping is done. Here's the middle one, and here's the top. And look, it's just seamless. You can't tell that it wasn't all done in one big huge hoop. 2 separate hoopings so far, and they look great. We have one more down here at the bottom, and then it's done. All right, so we have our placement stitch for our fabric, and we have 2 hoopings done. So same thing, you're gonna fold it back one-handed to find the batting. See the batting there? And you're gonna line that up. Now we're gonna do it over here because it's facing this direction. So we're gonna put our fabric up at the top, and we're gonna line up the batting this way, and then we'll tape it in place. Actually, pull it back and then tape it in place.